Hey, Rich, you maintained the 111th from special teams. Do you have a theory on why it's been so well received by the entirety of the team? Was it just guys willing to embrace something new, as they struggled, or do you have a theory as to why everybody's been, so widely embraceable to it?
Yeah, you know what? It's probably one of those things that's been around for longer than you think. The whole 5+ years that I've been here, it's been kind of our mantra and special teams. And so, in one way, shape, or form, all those guys have been a part of it, at one time or another, because obviously special teams kind of touches every part of the team. And so, there's very few guys that, didn't and kind of haven't gone down that road with me before. So, I think that they appreciate, 111th kind of equals the accountability. You could take it on and off the field. We talk about that all the time. It's a deal where if you're doing your job on the field, it's tangible, right? Everybody sees it, but we try to take it and carry it over to the preparation and what you're doing when you're not in the building, and just overall accountability. So I think it's one of those things that's easy to kind of hang on to. It's very it's obviously a football analogy, and but guys can carry it over in all parts of their life. So guys have really taken to it. I'm proud of that, and hopefully we can continue to do all the right things on and off the field.
Kind of following up on that, a couple players said today that you brought out a level in the team meeting and like kind of dressed up as a construction worker and like what made you want to do that, and how is kind of the visual component important in trying to get a message across to these guys?
Yeah, the the very first team meeting that we had when I took over, I had an analogy about we kind of dug a hole for ourselves through that 7 game stretch, and now we all had a hand in it, and now we're all going to have a hand in kind of filling it up. So I used a shovel kind of as a visual, and kind of took on a life of its own. The next day, I came in with another prop, and then another prop, and so I had the hard hat, and then I had the construction vest, and then I had the lunch pail, and then every day we've been adding one, and they're kind of symbolic. And so every day, we talked about the shovel, one shovel full at a time, filling the hole back up. It's like one play at a time, and one day at a time, and one practice at a time, one game at a time, and then bringing your lunch pail to work every day. The kind of the blue collar mentality. It's kind of what I grew up with, quite frankly, and just that fighter mentality. And you're going to show up every day, and you're going to go to work, and the job doesn't not going to take care of itself. You got to get the work done, and then the level. Last week we talked about finish, and I thought the level was a really good symbolic thing for you only use a level at the end of a job. You don't use a level on day one when you rip a building down. You use a level at the end to make sure you finish off the work and the job is done right. And so I used the level last week and said, hey, our mantra this week has been finish. And so that was kind of my construction blue collar worker prop, if you will, for last week was the level. Yep. I look like Bob the Builder, by the way, in front of the room, just for the record. For those who've seen Bob the Builder, that's you can get a good visual of me right now.
Are you just ordering these props constantly, or like where are you doing this from?
Well, it's taken on a life of its own. So every day we've had to add one. So I'm gonna end up looking like I'm to show up about 20 minutes before the meeting to get all the props in there now. But yeah, no, we pick a different one every day. And so over the last course of the last 2 weeks, we've had a different prop every day.
Can you share anything on Eric McCoy's evaluation after the game?
Yeah, Eric went through a bunch of tests, last night, this morning. Like I said, after the game, we really wanted to be cautious with that, because he obviously had all that missed time. And so it looks like, I think in the long run he's going to be okay. I think it's probably a good thing we have a bye week this week, but I think Eric's going to be okay.
Want to go over the schedule with them?
How do you see Fulaga do against Myles Garrett? And specifically, what kind of response? He didn't have his best game against Denver a few weeks ago. Just what have you seen kind of in his response from that game specifically, and how he's kind of tried to maybe learn from that game?
Yeah, I'll start with yesterday. You mentioned Myles Garrett. One of our things going into that game was making sure that Myles Garrett didn't wreck the game, because he's wrecked a lot of games in his career. And I thought we had a great game plan for him, no matter where he was lined up. We had multiple guys that did a good job on him. Phenomenal player. The times that he was one-on-one with Talley. Listen, I thought Talley did a great job. Watching the film this morning, kind of with a fine-tooth comb, and you look at those plays that he was matched up on him one-on-one, he really did a great job of holding his own. It's hard to neutralize a player like that, but I think that just goes to show you the talent level that Talley has. Now, you mentioned the consistency of play. Like any rookie, there's going to be some peaks and valleys, and there's been some peaks and valleys in his play. But overall, through 11 games, I see a really, really good player and a guy with a really bright future. And yesterday was a great example. Was he perfect yesterday? No. But for a rookie left tackle against that guy, that's a heck of a job by him.
Hey, Rizzi, what did you think about the Chase Young play when he came off the sidelines and made?
I don't know if there's a video of my face after the play. I think I kind of turned around, looked at the guys on the sideline, with the face, really, did that, we just. It looked like we drew it up that way, right? It was the old delayed 10 guys on the field, let's run a guy out. And, by the way, they're throwing a screen, and he's just going to run right to it. So, yeah, you usually see that happen on special teams, and most people don't pay attention to it because a lot of times on special teams you have late substitutions. So I've seen that before, special teams-wise, where the guy runs out late and ends up making the play, and I've a bunch of times, but rarely do you see a play like that on defense. So it was, I think we had a little fortune on our side on that one, to say the least.
So is Joe Woods going to add that to the
Yeah, I guess that's going to be the 99 special or something, whatever it is. But I guess he had good vision. He was able to see the whole play develop, and he was able to run right to it. We're going to sit here and act like we did that on purpose. We didn't. We were late getting out, and we were fortunate there.
Darren, what has the addition of MBS done for this offense? Yeah, obviously he's not getting a ton of targets, but he's making the stuff he is getting count.
Yeah, you listen, with a guy like that on the field, whether he's getting targeted or not, you have to have a plan for him. And, we were missing that speed element a little bit with Olave and Shaheed down, and that was really important. And so it's a credit to him to come in here on short notice and be as productive as he's been. Just a great job by him learning the offense. I think one of the coaches made a great point today. If you go back and watch the film, not only is he doing a great job running routes, he's out there blocking yesterday on some of Taysom and AK's runs. He had some really good second-level blocks, and so just another guy that's bought into the to the 111 thing. And I'll tell you what, when he's on the field, you have to account for him. So whether the ball's going to him or not, and just the simple thing is just those shots downfield to him, even if we don't connect on them. That stays in the mind of a defense coordinator and certainly the secondary, and so those are big deals. And so to have that speed element out there, knowing that they always have to account for him, that opens up a lot of other things, and then all of a sudden, if he's getting doubled up top, or they're trying to take, we're taking the top off of coverage, that opens up plays like yesterday where, Kevin Austin catches one underneath, or, Juwan or Foster had some underneath catches, and so did Taysom, and then obviously the run game. So he's been a great addition, and I'm really, really happy we have him.
Riz, what's the thought process you want these guys to take with them into the bye, and I guess go through the bye and coming back with?
Yeah, John, it's a heck of a question. When you have a late bye like this, it's a little bit of a complete different mentality than those early in the season buys. And so, number one, we got to rest and relax and get our bodies back and come back refreshed. I think that's number one. Number two, we have a little momentum going here over the last couple of weeks, so I think it's important that we come back, with that same mentality. Sometimes when you step away for a minute or two, it could be easy to kind of lose track, lose focus. So, just coming back, getting some downtime, everybody getting healed up, getting the bodies right, getting some good recovery in. At the same time, coming back with a focus and a purpose, coming back in the building. Now, since you brought it up, I want to give you guys a quick heads up, the media a quick heads up on our schedule is going to change a little bit that following week. So we're going to bring the players back in on Monday and just do like a regular, our Monday routine or similar Monday routine. But we're going to practice on that Tuesday like we would on a Wednesday. So that'd be like a Wednesday practice day. So it would be a regular practice day. So their day off won't be Tuesday that week. That Wednesday is going to be a Thursday type of practice for you guys, and then Thursday we will not have a traditional quote unquote practice on that Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. We won't have a practice. So if you guys want to bring me some extra side dishes as a thank you, you're welcome. You guys can do that. I like mashed potatoes and stuffing and cranberry sauce.
Look, out of the kindness of your heart, I'll make that happen. Going back to the MBS thing, the last couple of weeks, passing games look really good, despite the fact that Sheed and Olave haven't been there. Obviously, you want those guys back in the lineup, but when you don't have like the guy who's going to be like the alpha target or whatever, does that kind of free things up to just go to the open man?
Listen, I think it does, and I think that's what Derek's done a really good job of the last couple of weeks. You look at our distribution and our targets and the distribution of receptions, and that's why, sometimes, listen, you guys know this. Sometimes if you have that wide receiver one or that, the high profile guy, sometimes there's times where you try to force the ball to that player. Now, I'm just saying player X. I'm not specifically talking about any individual, but sometimes you try to force targets to a particular player. Well, where we are right now, we got a lot of different options, and I think that that's what Derek's done a great job of. Clint Kubiak, the offensive staff's done a phenomenal job of distributing the ball to different people. And you look at yesterday, and I'm not even looking at the paper just off the top of my head, right? AK and Taysom, Jordan Mims, Foster, Jawan, Kevin Austin, MVS. All these guys, had touches. Dante Pettis, big third down catch. So it makes it makes us a little bit more difficult to defend in the sense that we're not going to be one-dimensional. And so, Derek can go through his regular route progression, and like you said, I don't know if it's as simple as throw it to the open guy, although that's what Dan Marino would tell me he used to do all the time. He just drop back and throw it to the open guy. So he did pretty good. But all kidding aside, I think that's the last couple of weeks, that's one of the things that's been a real positive for us is that we've gotten production from a lot of different people.
Hey, Darren, going back to the schedule switch up, one, thanks for doing that, but two, how much of did the bye influence your thinking there, or can you kind of just expand? Is it the holiday? Why do you want to switch things up?
I've been a part of the schedule once before, coming off a bye week into the Thanksgiving week, and we had a similar schedule at another place I was at. And so, number one, you're coming off a bye week, and so to practice earlier in the week just makes sense. We're going to have some significant time off here, which is much needed, and it's going to be great for everybody, mentally and physically. At the same time, when we come back, it's like we want to get started maybe as soon as possible. So to me, it's twofold. One, it's to get the guys going again, get them back physically and mentally, and then two, because we are in the middle of a holiday week, it'll give the time. Obviously the players always have a day off in a particular week, so their day off that week will be Thursday. So it's kind of get back, get ramped up, and then guys can enjoy the holiday. We'll come back on Friday and get back on a regular Friday Saturday schedule. But when I've done the schedule, I think I've done it actually twice before. It was very well received. Not just because of the holiday, but just because of the way you're coming off a bye and you can kind of get practicing right away and get focused and not have to take another day off and drag it out a little bit. So it just helps.
You're a routine. You've said that, and football players are creatures of habit too. Is it kind of hard to let go of just like this is how we do things?
In a sense, we're still going to have the same routine in terms of. This is going to be the Wednesday practice, the Thursday practice. We're just bumping it up a day. And to be honest with you, like I said, coming off the bye, for the coaches to sit around a whole nother day and give the players a day off in the beginning of the week when they just came off of a full week off, I don't know how much sense that makes. I think we're doing the right thing. So yes, so I'm definitely a routine guy, and we're going to have our Wednesday routine, but it's going to be on Tuesday, and we're going to have our Thursday routine just be on Wednesday. So. And then we'll have our day off routine. It's just going to be a different day. So we're kind of breaking up the days off, if you will, rather than just front load the whole thing. We'll get our work done, take another day, and get ourselves recovered for the end of the week. So, like I said, I've been part of the schedule before, and I liked it.
Darren, have you already?
I just want to say thanks for letting us off on Thursday.
Oh, you got it, man.
Darren, have you already started coming up with prop ideas for addressing the explosive plays? I know that's one trend you guys haven't quite gotten rid of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we talked about it in our staff meeting this morning. You just kind of did we always kind of do a reset. Hey, here's where we are, and here's what we got to continue to get better at, and these are things that can cost us down the road still. And I think they had 3 explosive plays for 142 yards on 3 plays. For the Browns. And so, man, I mean, I know you can't sit here and say, well, if we didn't do that, but at the same time, the reason that game was as close as it was at 14-all is because they had 3 explosive plays, and we had turned the ball over twice. And so those things, are still a little bit of an Achilles heel. If we take care of the football, number one, on offense and don't turn it over, and then number 2, we have to make them methodically not go down the field and not have 89-yard touchdowns. That's important. And I think they had 1 explosive run and 7 explosive passes yesterday. And so we got to cut that number at least in half. And some of those were self-inflicted. So I can't give away my props. I can't let the cat out of the bag. You'll have to find out after the fact, but there'll be something for sure.
And I was just curious. I meant to ask you this last week. The decision to waive Connor McGovern. He obviously is sort of a valuable emergency plan. Was any of that at his request to go back to New York or anything?
No, listen. Obviously, with getting Eric back, obviously we got Connor from the Jets, and it just worked out where he got claimed. If he hadn't gotten claimed, I think he would have been back in our building. It's just one of those. We got caught up in a numbers crunch there. The position had to come from somewhere. Eric's spot, that is, coming off of IR, and so it's one of those deals where I think we were, there was some conversation that if he had cleared waivers, there was some conversation about bringing him back here in some way, shape, or form. But obviously he got claimed by the Jets. But I thought Connor did a really admirable job while he was here.
And I can't remember if anyone's asked you this or not, but Isaiah Stalver's position switch, who identified that and what led to that? From linebacker to safety.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a little bit of a group discussion. Isaiah in college did a little bit of both. He was kind of like that nickel Sam, or there's a bunch of different names for it, Buffalo nickel, whatever you want to call it. But he was kind of that hybrid position between like a strong safety and a will linebacker. He's got some safety, he's got some safety in his background. So he's got some flex where he's done both. And he was at a couple different schools, in college, and at those couple different stops, he did a little bit of everything. I think, but more his senior year, he was actually more of like a strong safety down in the box. But we're watching this guy move around. He obviously played in some games early on. I'm very, very high on this guy. I think he's going to have a really good career. And so just watching him move around practice, and then where our depth was, we're like, hey, this guy's got some safety background. Let's kind of move him. And if he's going to be a chance to get to the game, we kind of felt like if we needed him to play on defense, that might be at the current moment, short term, that might be a better position for him to go to. And if he's got to go to the game. And so here's a guy that's got, like I said, I really like this guy. I think he's done a heck of a job. The games that he was up, and then same thing in practice. But, he's caught up in a little bit of the same thing, a little bit of a numbers crunch in terms of, the actives and inactives. But, we already know what he can do at linebacker. He had a really good training camp at linebacker. So it was one of those, hey, let's see if we can get him some background on our safety position. But his movement skills in practice would tell you that he's not going to struggle to play safety either. So, like I said, he's doing a good job right now.
Riz, I know you went to the Pelicans game on Friday night, but what's sort of just been the reception like for you these past, after winning 2 games in a row, and just when you're out and about out in the city?
Yeah, I can't stop by my favorite cheeseburger spot anymore on the way home. So No, people have been outstanding. Listen, the people are in and around the city. I'm not out in public that often, as you can imagine. This is where I am most of the time. But the few times that I've stopped for gas or stopped for a cheeseburger or stopped on the way home or certainly going to the Pelicans game the other night with my boys, the people of the city have been phenomenal and no surprise. So just very, very welcoming and really, really cool, really awesome. And I thought, listen, our fans for 2 weeks in a row, our fans were a huge part of the game. We talked about getting that dome field advantage back. It's a big deal, and they were loud in the second half. During the crunch times of the game yesterday, I had some friends that had never been here before, down from New Jersey, and some of my college buddies, whatever, had never been to a game in the Superdome, and that was their first comment after the game. It was like, man, that place gets really loud. It was the first time, and so it's a big deal. And listen, we got another home game again in a couple weeks, so we expect that holiday weekend. We expect that place to be rocking again.
And I'm going to ask you about Division II football. I don't know if you're following the playoffs, but New Haven, they start this Saturday with the playoffs. They're in. When you were there, and what is it about coaches? There's quite a few of them in the NFL that have coached on the Division II level that are assistant coaches in the NFL. What is it about that make them successful to reach the highest level in the NFL?
That is a phenomenal question. I love this question. Listen, I could go on forever about this, but I'm gonna try to keep it short. I learned how to coach at the Division II level, and I have a son right now that wants to go who's a college football player that wants to go into coaching. And my recommendation to him is to start at the lower levels and work your way up. Because the one thing about being a Division II coach, I feel like if you can be a Division II coach or Division III or 1AA or whatever, where you don't have all these resources like the Power 5 schools, you can really coach anywhere because you have to wear a lot of hats. It was a little bit of a baptism by fire. I was, you probably know I was a head coach at the University of New Haven when I was 29 years old, and I thought I knew and I didn't know. It's an unbelievable learning experience. I think I was the youngest head coach in the NCAA in 1999 or whatever it was, and I was able to coach there for 4 years under Tony Sperano. We went to the Division II National Championship. I was the defensive coordinator and the special teams coordinator because you don't have a lot of coaches. I think we had Tony, the head coach, plus 2 full-time coaches, and so there's just a lot on your plate. And I just think it's a really good precursor, and it's just a great segue to move up the ladder because you have to learn so much and do so much. You're not locked into one thing. And you don't get closed-minded about one position or one side of the ball. You really have to do a little bit of everything, and you get a feel for the PR people and the operations people and the equipment people. And I was the head coach there, and I was the travel coordinator, and I put guys on an airplane and who was sitting where. And so you do so many things, and it opens up your eyes just to really the big picture. And so I got a lot of fondness for that for the University of New Haven, for all Division II football, and my alma mater, is 1AA, University of Rhode Island. They're doing great. It looks like they're going to make the playoffs if they win this week. So hopefully I'm getting a chance to follow New Haven and Rhode Island and all those great schools up there, those small schools in the NCAA playoffs here. Looking forward to it. Go Chargers and go Rhodey. Love it. It's a great way to end. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, man.
You got it.